Our next speaker here to provide an opening address on behalf of the Outside 2020 Steering Committee is Timothee Sallin. Timothy is president of Cherrylake, Inc., an integrated environmental horticultural landscape company in Central Florida. Cherrylake is a subsidiary of IMG Enterprises, a family-owned Florida agricultural company with diversified operations in citrus, environmental restoration, nursery, and landscape.
Hello. Welcome to Outside 2020, a sustainable landscape collaborative. I'm very excited about today's event as it has been over a year in the making. And I want to start by expressing my deep appreciation and thanks to our Outside Steering Committee members, to all of our event sponsors and staff, and to all of the people who I have had the opportunity to speak to this past year across the state, who have shared my enthusiasm for discussing our landscape practices and how they can be more sustainable. I've been very blessed in my life to be a part of a Florida agricultural family. We have been farming in ornamental trees and citrus, as well as performing landscape construction and maintenance for the past 40 years. And I've had the opportunity to work in this business for the past 20 years, during which time I've learned some things about the ornamental landscape industry. But what I've really come to find is that there's still so much that we don't know, so much more to learn about our landscapes and how they are affecting and contributing to the broader environmental issues and challenges that we face here in Florida. I'd like to start today by speaking a little bit about the purpose of Outside and some of the goals that we have set for this collaborative. And when I think about setting goals, I like to start by thinking globally so that we can think global and act local. The United Nations has done a fantastic job of articulating 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals are the world's shared plan to end extreme poverty, reduce inequality, and protect the planet by 2030. They are also a call to action to individuals and communities across the globe to innovate and to take action to help realize the promise and the potential of the Sustainable Development Goals. As I look across these 17 goals, I see a lot of intersects with opportunities and challenges that we face here in Florida. In Florida, we are dealing with rapid population growth, water quality and water quantity issues. We have land use and land conservation challenges. We will be dealing with sea level rise and coastal community resilience, as well as biodiversity loss and climate change. These are important and urgent issues that require us to take action and that call upon all of us to make some changes and shift certain behaviors so that we can contribute to the solutions that will be needed for the future. The purpose of Outside, what I like to call a massively transformative purpose, is to shift the landscape paradigm in Florida to increase the adoption of sustainable landscape practices so as to help create a more vibrant, healthy, and sustainable future for all Floridians. How we achieve this purpose is going to be determined by all of us. This is hopefully a purpose that inspires you, a purpose that will inspire others to come together and to work collaboratively to look for specific actions and specific solutions that we can apply towards achieving this purpose. So as I've worked over the past year with our steering committee and spoken with others across the state, we've tried to explore how we can achieve this purpose by focusing on attainable goals, by setting some midterm strategies that will allow us to start implementing actions that will lead to change and help us achieve this purpose. So I have a draft of 10 strategic goals that I would like to share with you today. And I call it a draft because I think this needs a lot more input from all of you as we go through this conference today. Hopefully you guys will be able to start sharing your thoughts on these strategic goals, and as we go forwards after today, we'll be able to continue to seek input and iterate these strategic goals. So these 10 goals, the first one is to promote a statewide collaboration around sustainable landscape practices. And that's essentially what we're here to do today with this Outside 2020 event, to bring people together, to start to share our purpose and to enunciate some goals so that we can begin the collaboration process. The second goal is to increase the supply of Florida native and Florida resilient plants. And I believe that if we want to increase the demand for these landscapes and increase the adoption of these plants and landscapes, we need to start by building up the nursery supply. The third goal is to grow the industry competencies in sustainable landscape maintenance. So if we want to design and implement sustainable landscapes, we need to have the confidence that we will also be able to sustainably maintain these landscapes. The fourth goal is to work with local governments to evaluate the effectiveness of landscape codes and ordinances. The fifth goal is to collaborate with state agencies to encourage green infrastructure projects. The sixth is to quantify economic impacts and ecosystem services. And here I'm thinking that we can start collecting a lot more data, a lot more information that will help us to analyze impacts and to provide models of return on investment, models that will help people to understand not only the financial drivers, but the ecosystem metrics such as water budgets, carbon sequestration, and other key factors that will help us to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the role, the function, and the value of these sustainable landscapes. The seventh goal is to partner with the development community to implement sustainable landscapes holistically. And I'm hoping that today in our land development panel, we will begin to address this particular goal and start a dialogue with land developers to understand how this goal might be achieved. The eighth goal is to work with existing developments and HOAs to retrofit sustainable landscapes holistically. As many of our landscapes are already in place, in order for us to have an impact on the environmental effects of landscapes, we're going to have to also address the existing landscapes. The ninth goal is to develop a holistic, sustainable approach to the landscape transect from design to implementation to maintenance. And here again, this idea of holism is very important when we're dealing with sustainability, as these sustainable landscapes will require the integration of many different players, many different industries, and then in themselves contain many species and many different ecosystems functions that are working in a balance to create as much value as possible over time. The 10th goal is to educate communities to expand perceptions of what landscapes can provide. And this 10th goal is, I believe, very important and also very challenging. However, we need to address social perceptions and work with the general population in the state, people who may not be experts in landscape, nursery, design, or planning, but who will need to understand more about the role and the benefits of these sustainable landscapes and why we all need to work together to make the shift. So those are the 10 strategic goals I would like to propose. And I am looking forward to feedback and input on these goals as we continue to iterate so that collectively, as we think about how we can work together to increase the adoption of sustainable landscape practices, we have a framework that will help to give focus to our efforts and actions. We will be providing a number of webinars, workshops, and tours in 2021 so that we can continue to work together after today to reconvene and to go further and deeper into the collaboration. I really believe that in order for us to be successful, we're going to require a lot of sustained energy, a lot of persistent effort, and a lot of enthusiasm. So hopefully we start today, and today is not just the beginning. So in ending, I would just once again like to express my deep and sincere appreciation to our steering committee members, to our event sponsors, our staff, and most importantly, I would like to express my gratitude to you for joining us today, for being curious about this topic, and for wanting to work towards promoting a more sustainable future for Florida. So let's get on with the program and work together to increase the adoption of sustainable landscape practices. Thank you so much.